Hello, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to the weekly Ask Me Anything about Project X. My name is Bradley Sutton from Helium 10. I'm joined by...
Tim Jordan from Private Label Legion.
How's it going, Tim? Where are you at right now?
Dude, I'm in London and I am freaking exhausted.
You're in London.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm dying. If I fall asleep, just call my cell phone. I'll set it on vibrate.
What time is it over there?
It's 9 p.m., but I did a training thing all day yesterday, and I started a training workshop at like 10 this morning, and I just ran back from the dinner restaurant and threw open my laptop. So I am whipped.
You are all over the place, all over the world.
I
Mr.
know.
Worldwide. So
Prestige.
what did we go over? This weekly AMA is going to be about Project X, where we have been taking you guys on a journey to find private label opportunity on Amazon. Last week, as in not this week, but the week before this week, we went over the first episode, which was kind of the overview, and in episode 2 we started diving into like where to find the opportunity. And in 3 and 4 this week, what were some of those main points that we were talking about, Tim?
The main things was like validation. So we found keywords. Now, how the heck do we know what's a good keyword? Like which keywords are important? How do we check to see if these keywords are even being searched for, and even started to dip into the realm of like, are other people already on this thing and it's a saturated too competitive keyword?
Absolutely. So I saw a lot of great comments, guys, that you guys have been giving us. I'm pulling up some of the questions here. Do you have that question sheet handy yourself, Tim, or do you need me to
No,
send
you
it?
didn't send me the link.
I didn't send you the link. All right, let me send you the link here. But
hey, where's everybody from?
Yeah.
Last week we had like a ton of people from all over the world, and it was super impressive to see everybody, even like on the other side of the world. I know I was just talking to some people from Australia that are like, hey, it's 3 a.m, but we're going to be on. So let us know where everybody's from. Singapore, Italy. Wow, there's Rosalind. Rosalind, hi from Australia. You're the one I was just talking about. Paulina says, hey, cool guys. I think she texted on the wrong chat because I think she's looking for the cool guys. She didn't find them.
All right, cool.
All right, pull that up.
Let me go ahead and post some of
France.
these up here.
I can't believe all these European folks, man. They're all over the place. That's awesome. Look at
Scott just joined us for a couple seconds and dipped out, I guess.
Check out old Miss Schmitty, if you say that last name, from my neck of the woods in Nashville, Tennessee. See,
Cool.
oh, Spaceman's back from Mars. Hi, Spaceman. Good to see you again. I feel like Spaceman's going to be a regular. That's good.
Sweet.
Canada, Bulgaria.
Tim, what we did, if you remember in those episodes, we actually were asking some questions. So I just sent you that Google Doc of our buddy Mel just compiled those questions, and I want to give some of those results. You know, this was us asking questions. You guys are asking questions to us in this episode, but we asked questions to you during episodes 3 and 4. And one of them was like, what's one of the most unique ways you've sourced products? So Sharon Parr says, I went to a trade show near my house and got 2 vendors. Cool. Hey, there you go. We asked in episode 4, what were the most interesting subject that we covered in this episode? So some of the replies were, Sam says, I'm loving the data analysis. This is actually my learning style. Seeing you guys do this research has been super helpful. So thank you, Sam, for those comments. Sam really liked, I think this is what one of your points, Tim. Sam says, one of the main ideas I liked was we're not Amazon sellers, we're product sellers. So yeah, that was a Timism right there. And let's see. Daywin in episode 4 said that this is the best episode so far to me. I usually don't test because my main product was a product with low competition and pretty good demand. So yeah, in episode 4, we kind of dropped something that I think really people have not really talked about. What was that again, Tim, about the testing and why is it important again as a recap?
Yeah, PPC testing, and it's important because I like to measure twice, cut once. Everything that we do is based on really, really good estimates, but they could be estimates. And also there's really no way to gauge competition. So at any time, we could be attempting to launch something that's fiercely competitive on keyword bids, which is a big part of initial launch and advanced launch. So without doing that testing, we actually never know what those numbers are. So it's better validation. So yeah, to that point, there have been products that I've launched that can be launched. Like we look at the helium 10 data and we just go for it. Generally speaking, though, I still like to test. And the other thing I like to do in testing is actually gaining more optimization data for when I do launch. But I don't want to get too far ahead. But yeah, you absolutely can do this without testing. But I pretty much test everything for the reasons that we've mentioned.
Yeah. Another question we asked in episode 3, that was when we started validating those products, and we kind of whittled it down to 3 products. We had asked, do you guys have a favorite product of these final 3? And let's listen to some of these replies. Ben said the Forest Axe and Coffin Shelf. The Handyman said, I'm leaning with Tim on the coffin. I got the same sneaky feeling about that one, with the hatchet running a close second. I feel like the hatchet would be a bit more saturated, but I still think the demand is there. Okay, great input, Handyman. Isaac says, if I had to choose one, I would choose the Forest Axe. Deal says, if this wasn't on YouTube, I would have definitely tried the Coffin Shelf. Christina says, Egg Holder. All right, we got the first vote for Egg Holder. Definitely going to have to watch this one twice. David's is a Coffin Shelf. So was Hale, was a Coffin Shelf. Team Coffin Shelf. El Apuli says the Egg Holder. All right, so we're kind of like neck and neck, Coffin Shelf and Egg Holder.
Can I just pause and say, you're doing great with these names, but does everybody recognize how tough some of these names are? Because not only are some of these international names tough, but these aren't your actual names. Like these are a lot of times your Facebook or YouTube's. Like I'm looking at a comment, hi, from Washington, D.C., from Eagle Eye Reports Video Eye. Like imagine if it was the equivalent of that in like Pakistan, like it would be impossible. Yeah. So I feel like we're doing a good job, Bradley. Keep going.
I'm trying. Now you got me all worried here.
Flustered.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going here. Let's see. We got a couple more. Here. Finally, easy name. Steve B says definitely the coffin seems the most promising. Can't wait to see how it turns out. Michelle says the hatchet, and Scott picked the axe. And let's see. And Tom says the Coffin Shelf or the wooden egg holder. All right. So that was great input from you guys. Don't forget, if you guys reply during our live stream or our live premieres of these episodes, we'll go ahead and paste up your comments here on our weekly AMAs. But let's get now to the questions that we have been coming on. First, let's go back to our live questions. I want to make sure that we get to everybody today. There are some people that we couldn't get to last time. We want to make sure.
Not going to happen. You saw we had like 700 comments last time.
Yeah, it was out of control. But guys, one way that you can help us help you, make sure that we keep the questions. I know we got Tim on here and he knows everything about everything. So, but right now this is Ask Me Anything about episodes 3 and 4 of Project X. So, all right, if you're asking us, hey, what's the best process to register my trademark? Yeah, we could probably answer that, but let's save that for when those episodes actually come up. Let's try and focus on this on these last 2 episodes because we have those fresh in mind since they just dropped this week. All right, so let's go ahead and let me start looking at some of these questions here. Okay, so I think this is kind of like on the product validation. So this is kind of about episode 3. Mark says, what if there's a healthy search volume, like a few thousand across a handful of keywords that tie to a product, but on X-Ray, the revenue numbers are low? Wouldn't this be contradicting? You want to take that one?
You always throw me the hard ones.
I love it. I'm trying to eat some food over here, so I'm going to go off screen.
You have something in your teeth, right?
I do? Oh, yeah. Well, I'm eating, guys. Like, I come on here, I haven't even
look, other side.
Other side, too? There we go. I got it.
Called you out for having. There you go. Do you love that? No, you didn't.
Who's the one from Alabama? You or me?
I know everybody in the office is dying that I just called you out for having something in your teeth on live YouTube.
Live YouTube. It's still in my tooth. I'm going to go off screen and take care of it. Hold on. Go ahead. Answer this question.
All right. So a healthy search volume, but there's 1 or 2 products there that aren't selling. There's a lot of reasons that could happen. And here's the bulk of it. People are looking for it, but they're not buying it. So we have to figure out why they're buying it. Is it that the product that is there isn't exactly what they're looking for? Is it that the product is too highly priced, or is it too poor quality, or is it not the right variation, right? If I were going to Amazon to search for a soccer ball. And the only couple options were like those little keychain soccer balls, keychain size soccer balls. Of course, they're still soccer balls, but they're not actually what people are looking for. So I still think that it's that we can't just look at X-ray and determine, oh, this product doesn't work. Like it doesn't work for whatever reason. Or we can't say it doesn't work because X-ray doesn't say it works. There's not a lot of sales volume. We need to go back and figure out why people are searching for it, but they're not buying it. So I hope that makes sense. Oh, he's back. There you go.
No volume. There we go. So guys, remember what we found, like Tim was talking about, what we found with that coffin shelf, right? There wasn't very many sales on there, but part of the reason was because that main seller was out of stock, for so long. And plus,
And
that's why we do the validation off of Amazon too, because sometimes maybe the demand is there on Amazon, but we're not seeing sales because what people have in their minds of what they're looking for when they're searching, they're not finding on Amazon, so they're not going to buy it. That doesn't mean the demand's not there. It just means that that's a good thing for us. That means that the supply is not there. Our potential competitors are not meeting our customers' needs, so then we can hop in and hopefully meet their needs. So let's keep going here. And I've already lost some questions. So guys, if we skipped over, or Cassandra, if you notice that I'm trying to do these in order, so if you notice that I skipped, that means I probably lost the questions because of the software here. We got Rosalind from Brisbane, I believe. I think Americans say Brisbane, but it's Brisbane. All right. Spaceman is in the house from outer space. What is up? He's listening to us far away on the moon. Brazil is in the house. France is in the house. The OC is in the house. How's it going? Philip from Toronto. What's going on?
Check out that picture. That's an awesome profile
which
picture.
One? The Toronto one?
Yeah.
I didn't even see it. Oh, that's great.
A great one right there.
That's awesome. We got Paulina here. How's it going, Paulina?
Hey, can I address a question that's in the live chat real quick? It's towards the bottom. It's from Dustin Julie Cornett. I don't know if you can pull it up. But she says,
does it start on my fiance?
No, it says hypothetically speaking.
I got it. There you go.
All right. Hypothetically speaking, if I were interested in doing something with the coffin shelves and I have a friend that can make them for cheap, any advice? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking me here, but let me address something right now. Guys, anything that we find in this case study that's going to be good, don't try to sell it. Please don't. We're telling you, hey, this is a potentially good product. Remember, we were beating the rest of you to it. The truth is, by the time this case study is over, we're going to have hundreds of thousands of people that have seen this. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people that assume that what we're saying is these are still good products. Don't do it. Stay away from anything that we've mentioned because there's going to be a bunch of new sellers trying to jump on and sell these things just because now we've kind of brought it to light. So that being said, she's saying I have a friend that can make them for cheap. Some of my best products I made in my garage initially, right? So you don't have to go to China. You don't have to like stretch out and do mass volumes, massively produced. They can be simply done maybe in your garage, or you can find a local shop or local producer to make those things. Now, generally, when you want to scale up, you got to start outsourcing, get a little bit more professional. But absolutely, you can start with your buddies making these things, making them in your garage, all that cool stuff.
Excellent. All right, let's keep going with these questions here. Yeah, guys, but and if any of these products, Hatchet or baby seeds or the coffin shelf egg tray, all these things, if you guys were already planning to do that before this, we apologize. We just killed your market probably by putting it. But these 4 episodes already have, I believe, almost 50,000 views. So like Tim said, hundreds of thousands of people are watching these videos. So absolutely do not go out and try and source what we're talking about here. All right. Speaking of the coffin shelf, we have another question here. Not hello from Washington, D.C., but there it is. Gabriela says, isn't the coffin shelf Halloween seasonal? All right. You might not know. You see, that's an excellent question, first of all, to have, because if we don't know too much about Gothic decor, right, we might assume that. But we don't need to assume because we can go and look at the data. All right. So what we did is we went into Helium 10 and Black Box and looked at the history, and we could see, no, this was selling out. The reason why it wasn't even in stock is because it was selling out in the first part of the year, in the middle part of the year. So it is something that actually there was demand for throughout the year. But that is a very important point. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we went back like 24 months and we could see that when it was in stock, it was consistently selling. There was one product I looked at that was like an outdoor insect thing. I looked at it today in this workshop I'm doing in London, and you could go back like to the sales velocity graphs, the BSR graphs, and see it sold for 3 months really hard and heavy, and then it would kind of like taper up into slow and then real hard and heavy. But stuff like this coffin shelf, even if you would think immediately Halloween, it's not necessarily, because remember you've got like Day de la Muerta, the Day of the Dead. Plus, you've
Dia de
got
los
people that just
Muertos.
like whatever it was. I'm a gringo. I
Hey
can't do it.
del Muerte, right there.
That was good. But there's also people that are into gothic themed items year round. So don't just assume. Look at the data, because there is usually enough data, enough indicators to tell you for absolute certain. Don't just make assumptions.
Excellent. Fation says the testing was quite interesting. Being new to Amazon FBA, welcome. All right, so welcome to this journey. Follow us along the whole journey, and who knows, you might find yourself on a journey like this once you're ready to start. Hola Mexico from Eddie, what's up? Good one. This will be for Tim because he was the originator of this. Why do I need to send my products FBA to get keywords for testing the product? I currently have an FBM product. Can I still run auto PPC campaign to get keywords?
The very short answer is, how does Amazon operate? It operates through what Jeff Bezos called the Amazon flywheel. And the flywheel, you can go research that Amazon flywheel and see like the components. It's like a lot of different product selection, a lot of sellers, all that stuff. But most of it all focuses on user experience, customer experience. And customer experience is demanding right now Prime shipping, 2-day shipping. Amazon for years has lost money on their Prime program, but they're retraining the consumers to expect 2-day shipping. So what we have found is we've actually done like listings side by side of basically the same product, slightly different variation, and done an FBA listing and an FBM listing and ran PPC on it. And the FBA listing always gets search one, position one placement. The FBM might be on like page 4, because Amazon is more incentivized to sell FBA listings because it creates a better user experience. And also they can guarantee the user experience, right? So FBA always trumps FBM. So I'm not saying you can't sell products FBM, you can't launch products FBM. I'm not saying that. But what we have noticed is we almost never can get an FBM listing to get page 1, position 1, uh, ad status, sponsored ad status, which will give us an accurate impressions count. So that's why we have to use FBA.
Excellent question. And yeah, while it is possible, I just recently tested it on a separate little mini case study I'm doing with just FBM, and the impressions just weren't there. So what Tim was saying was, I mean, there were impressions, but it wasn't what I expected. So it wasn't a real accurate test. Remember, you want to do as much as possible apples to apples. Yeah, sure. Test with FBM PPC, but if you're planning to sell FBA, you've kind of defeated the whole purpose of your test. Like, you want to know what's going to happen if you do launch an FBA product, but now you have data only of what would happen if it was FBM. So excellent points, Tim. Thank
Hey,
you for
hit
that.
that Karen AU down there towards the bottom, the longer one.
Why do you keep trying to skip around? Hold on. Let me go in order before I lose some of these older ones. Let's see. Oh, Jordan's going to give me some toothpicks. Okay. So yeah, that would help. Dental floss. I'm good. Let's go to Bua's question real quick. Do you use Keyword Tracker to help you filtering better keywords to use for your own product title listing? Bua, you're my buddy from like the last 2 years, and you're not listening to me. I said, let's keep it to episodes 3 and 4, Bua, but that's an excellent question. Very, very good question. We will get into that. I promise.
In further episodes.
Yep. This one is relevant to this one. Serrana says, on average, what is the search volume your successful products have? And I say, the reason why I say this is a good question is because of the answer that I think Tim is going to give, which is that there's
It
no real
always
answer, right?
varies.
Like,
There's not a real
yeah.
answer. Today I was going through some examples at this live workshop I did, and we were looking at products that over, stacking up 3 or 4 of those long tail keywords, but very specific keywords, we might get 4 or 6,000 searches. But there's absolutely nothing like it online, absolutely, or on Amazon, nothing. So there's nothing relevant. We should be able to own 100% of the people that are looking when that 4 or 6,000 searches. Now, if it were a more generic term and there was other sellers selling other generic products, that we'd want that search volume to go up. Also, I think it's a fallacy to assume that we should only be finding products with super high search volume. We don't want that. People notice that. That's where we get into super competitive stuff. That's where all the other software tools that their crappy algorithm basic. I'm allowed to say that, right? Since I don't work for Helium 10, I can say that. A
Yeah.
lot of these
My
other
bad.
software tools, their crappy algorithm is based on giving a product success because of existing sales. It doesn't matter. I don't want to sell something other people are selling a lot of. Like that's just how you run in saturation. So I like flying under the radar. I like building my product initial purchase and launch decision based on some of these longer tail, more specific, less competitive keywords. Now, that's the initial decision. So if we launch a product like the coffin shelves, right, we're going to base it on 3 or 4, the decision on the data of 3 or 4 long tail keywords that are very non competitive. Now, a month or two in, we may go and reach more broad keywords. And we're going to talk a lot about that in other episodes, I promise, talking about the beach invasion and all this crazy stuff. But the short answer to you on search volume, it's a correlation between how much search volume and how much competition. Now, do I want to sell something that there's only 3 keywords I can attach to it that are relevant and only 200 or 300 searches? Probably not. So I like a minimum of 2,500, 3,000. I get really excited about 4, 5, 6,000. And then if it gets above like 9 or 10,000, I actually start to get a little bit concerned that it could potentially have too much eyeballs on it.
Yep. And another thing, guys, to keep in mind is something that we had talked about. I believe it was in episode 3, which is called buyer intent. All right. So search volume is search volume, right? But you can have a keyword that maybe has like 15, 20,000 searches, like kitchen, right? But do you think there's many purchases happening from there? Like if you're just looking at the wrong numbers, you're like, oh yeah, kitchen's a great keyword. 20,000. If I can get on page 1, I can get a little piece of that pie, right? But that pie is not actually that big, because you really think people are searching kitchen and actually buying something. They're probably using Amazon like Pinterest or Etsy trying to get ideas or something. Now you take a keyword like uh bamboo kitchen utensils for countertop or something like super niche down, maybe it only has 1,000 search volume. But that keyword might be better for you than that 20,000 keyword, because that keyword has a lot of buyer intent. If somebody's actually searching for that, they're probably going to buy something that's specific. So that is something that you guys can keep in mind too when talking about search volume. Let's keep going with these questions here. Josh just has a comment here, not really a question, but I've been stuck or stung a little on my latest product where I didn't take into consideration how much the product's price to purchase would take me on restocking. I've now started looking at products. Yep, we're definitely going to get into that in later episodes. Let's see here. Philip says, found a product offline that I couldn't find on Amazon. Interesting. So Philip, what do you mean by offline? Like, did you find it on another website, or do you have any proof, in other words, that there's demand somewhere? Maybe
I'm
it's not on
pretty sure if it's
Amazon.
offline, it's not going to be another website.
Okay. Well, when I say offline, that means to me like off Amazon too. Let's see, Philip.
You need to get
Remember,
out
this
of the
is the guy
podcast
with what's
studio.
his name as the title there, but
The Wet Willie. Yeah, the Wet Willie guy.
yep.
Hey, don't forget our Google sheet.
Yeah, I'm just trying to catch up with the live this time, but we'll get to the Google sheet last once I catch up here. All right, we have Josh who has a question about price and stuff. Again, this is not this is in a later episode. That might we'll definitely get into that too. Tim is going to introduce to us like even some new terminology. Like what was that little acronym about R request R what
Oh, RFQ.
RFQ? Like that was something new to me. So you guys are going to learn some cool terminology like that, and that has to do exactly with what you're talking about, Josh. We got Michael from Poland. All right, we're catching up here. Tammy from Panama. What's up? All right, here we go. Reiko is in the house. Reiko. I don't know if this is the Reiko that I used to know. But Reiko says, in episode 4, Tim showed us the egg tray samples that he bought from Etsy. Question number 1 of 2. Would you have checked Alibaba for its availability before buying them from Etsy? If not, why not?
Well, it depends
So,
on why
yeah, go
you're
ahead.
asking, I guess. Like if you're asking for validation, yeah, we might go ahead. Well, I think you're talking about sourcing, so let's answer that. Yeah, you can definitely go to Alibaba and see if they're available. But on a test, remember, we're just going to use a few units. We're only going to, have a handful of units. And Alibaba typically is going to have a very high MOQ. So that's why I like Etsy. The other thing is there are frequently products that we find that are potentially good that are not on Amazon that are on Etsy. So it's easy to purchase them there, right? They get shipped to you really quickly. It's nice and fast. Alibaba wants such a high MOQ, and a lot of times Alibaba will even list something they don't have available. So they'll list a picture of something they made a year ago, or even like a hypothetical picture, but actually getting it produced takes a long time. The only exception to that is sometimes you can find something on AliExpress and you can order 10 of these things. They show up in e-packets, and that item is not on Amazon. Even if the quality's poor, it doesn't matter because you're just testing the keywords, not testing the product. So Etsy is more convenient for us in small quantities, is the answer. If you're looking at Alibaba, you probably need to be looking at AliExpress for your tests.
All right. And question 2 of 2, I did find wood and egg trays in Alibaba. That said, if the product we're interested were not available in Alibaba, how would we proceed? All right. So we're gonna get into that in a little bit because if you remember,
Yes.
yeah, that's gonna happen. Remember what did we what happened when we tried to look up the coffin bookshelves in Alibaba, Tim? We saw that. We saw
It wasn't even there.
wasn't even there. It wasn't even there. That
We
was
had to get
episode
creative.
3. Yep, wasn't even there. But remember, what was the one that where it was on Alibaba and that was actually a bad thing because of how it was on Alibaba? You remember which one that was?
Yeah, that was the burrito blankets.
The burrito blanket. Yeah. So there's a line. If it's not there, that's not necessarily a bad thing. If it's there and just saturated, that is absolutely probably a bad thing, even if it's not saturated in Amazon yet. So keep that in mind, Reiko. Tim, where else can you source the products from other than Alibaba and China? Just real quick on this one.
Oh, dude, that's such a big question. You can source stuff from the US, you can source stuff from Eastern Europe. I'm sourcing a lot of stuff from India. Right now, India's turned really hot for some items. It doesn't mean that everything's available in India. I mean, it depends on what you're getting where. That's kind of a tough question. But China via Alibaba appears to be, definitely is, I'll say, the most convenient method right now. And if you're sourcing somewhere else and you're having a hard time finding it, don't get frustrated, because that frustration you're having now could potentially also stop somebody else from sourcing the same thing and competing with you. So if it's difficult, if it's a barrier to entry, if it causes more grief, if there's a moat around that product, so to speak, and you can fight through that and figure out where to find it, where to source it, how to get it, you're probably going to beat 95% of the other potential competitors who aren't going to go through that much effort. So consider that difficulty in sourcing it a blessing, not a curse.
Philip says, I found the product offline. He's still talking about that one. I couldn't find on Amazon. Hope to have stock in store in the next couple of weeks. Not sure if it doesn't exist because no one wants these. All right. So, Philip, one thing to keep in mind is that you have to, and we taught this in episodes 3 and 4, you have to kind of validate the demand somehow. The traditional way is on Amazon, right? But another way, it could be on Amazon without there actually being products on there. How is that? Well, using Helium 10, you could see if there's search volume for some of the keywords that people would search. You could use Magnet for that. We showed you guys how to do that a little bit. Another thing that's important is going off of Amazon for the demand. Look at these other websites. Is it trending on Etsy? Is it trending on Pinterest? We went over that in episode 2 and 3. These are things that you don't want to just say, hey, I found a random product, but you have no idea if anyone in the world even wants it. You need to have some indications before you go forward with something that, hey, this is something that people might buy. Karen says, hey guys, I think you're both really cool. Thank you, Karen. I think you're cool too. So if you end up finding a totally random product to sell, then you do this again and so forth. How do you end up making a brand out of random products?
We will also cover that later. But I'll say this, don't be thinking about brand too early. Is brand important? Yes. Is brand, whoa, we go. Hey, all right. So it is important, but don't get too far ahead of yourselves. And I know that sounds contradictory to some other stuff that you might have heard. I promise in some future episodes we're going to explain that. I think that there's a fallacy of people worrying too much about brand before they've even got their first product up. And maybe they're worried too much about building this massive brand when all they'll ever have is a product in that niche or that product catalog. So I promise we'll explain that in more depth when we start actually building listings and all that good stuff. But the short answer is don't worry about the brand right now. Get the product up first and see what happens.
Okay. You mentioned that we should test the product ideas with PPC to minimize risk. What if I found a niche that already has good demand and I just want to win with differentiation? Should I test it? See, remember though, there's other factors of why we did that. Like for example, what if you have to rely heavily on PPC in the beginning to do sales, and you didn't realize that your cost per click is going to be like $4 for all those main keywords that you had found. If you didn't test, you wouldn't have known that, and now you're kind of upside down on this product and not profitable because of how much PPC is costing you. So even it's not just for kind of like determining, like, to make sure that there's demand and kind of gauging that. Yes, it is for that, but there's also other factors that it could a test PPC campaign can give you some insight on. Here's next one for Tim. With the hatchet, there was a lot of hatchets on Amazon, so is the idea that we're going to try and sell it with better keywords? What's our
So the
thought
idea
process
with
on that?
so the idea with hatchet is that hatchet was kind of the general broad keyword, but what we were looking for is trying to niche it down to like forest axes and that very specific style that we kept running against. So technically we wouldn't try to sell an axe or a hatchet, we would sell a forest axe or a forest hatchet, right? So one reason I like that example of that product is it shows the difference in the importance of keywords. So yes, when we went to hatchets, there was all sorts of crazy products on there. But when we went to something specific like forest axe, there really wasn't anything else, right? But remember, we jumped over and we can validate stuff in different ways. So, um, yeah, we're not necessarily trying to sell it on better keywords. Better might not be the correct term, but we're trying to sell it on more specific keywords, more exact, more relevant keywords. And sometimes we add in the kind of little extra piece of product differentiation.
All right. Josh, we haven't gotten to this part yet, so that's in a future episode. Make sure to tune in. I believe that's episode 6 or 7. Let's keep going here. Oh, here's a good one. Elizabeth says, what is the minimum amount of test products one should send to Amazon for keyword testing? Do you have a minimum that you like to do?
Yeah, so you know that a lot of you know now that the objective is not to sell products. We don't want to sell products because if we run out of inventory, then we lose track of what on earth our data is going to be. But we have to have enough in there in case we do sell a few products. And also, we have to have enough that they get distributed evenly through the US. We know now that Amazon very, very accurately and very, very diligently tracks your inventory performance score. And it's not just your inventory performance score, it's your ASIN's inventory performance score. So Amazon hates when there's 3 products in New York and someone in LA buys them Prime, and Amazon has to put these little $3 things on a plane and overnight them over there to hit free 2-day shipping, right? So what I have noticed doing some of this is if my products aren't distributed around the country to enough fulfillment centers, then certain parts of the country will not have the page one, position one placement for the sponsored ad. All right. So what's that mean? That means if I only send in 2 products and one's in Nashville, Tennessee, and the other one's in New Jersey, I might not show up page one, position one for anybody west of the Rockies. So that means when I check my impression count, it could be half of what actually normally was or should have been. So we have to have enough units to distribute, and we have to have enough to get a few weird cases where we sell it and we don't run out. So to answer that question, as long as it's not super expensive or something crazy like that, I usually put in 10 to 12. If it's something that's super inexpensive, I'm still afraid it's going to sell and doesn't cost that much, I might put in 20. But usually the magic number is about 10.
All right, let's try and do some rapid fire 20-second or less answers for the next, so we can go back to our older questions here. All right, so Luis, I think half of your question you just got answered by Tim right here. However, the first part, yeah, you have to have the listing first before you can send it to FBA, because they have to create the FN SKU for you, so you can put the barcode on there, and you can't send against nothing. So you definitely have to have the listing. And then the other part of your question, I think, was just answered. There we go. Let's see. Michael says, what are the consequences of having a non-compliant main photo? That was something that we were going over in episodes 2 and 3, how those are some nice indications that maybe this is, a niche where the sellers aren't that sophisticated because they don't have the right photo, because the consequences could be, and good sellers know this, that you could have your listing suspended if you don't have a Amazon compliant photo. So that is what could happen. Let's see what else here. Michael is worried about that. Hey, using a compliant main photo could leave us looking unimpressive. Yeah, but you just got to weigh it. What's more important to you? Looking impressive for a week and then having your listing shut down for 4 weeks? So you got to kind of weigh it. There are ways to have an impressive looking photo professionally done that is TOS compliant. Tim?
Yeah, that are quick and easy too. Obviously, we don't want to spend a lot of time doing this on the test listing because we're going to chunk a lot of these in trash. But also, we don't want it to look too amazing. So if it looks too amazing, that might encourage purchases, right? So we're not worried about what the consumer thinks. We're just worried about getting a live listing that's relevant and sellable condition.
Yep. Luis, we're going to get this in a later episode about contacting suppliers. Absolutely. We're going to go deep, mainly Tim on that one. And let's see. I think, Luis, this was another question. If there are no suppliers offering the product on Alibaba, we were talking about that a little earlier with Reiko. So we got that. We got people talking to each other here. So Barracon is like, hey, what category are you on, Michael? So we got connections, Amazon connections, networking here, guys. I love it. Network with each other, no problem. You could ask each other questions, not just us. Jungle Chaos. This is going to be something that we're going to talk about later. So don't worry. Remember, guys, keep the questions to episode 3 and 4 if you can. Okay, here we go. This is something about validation from Bua. I found a niche that has a search volume of 10,000, and when I dig deep, there aren't many products that are unique or better designed. Should I jump in with my own design and utility? Well, the first part, Bua, that's not enough information. It depends. Like if everybody is selling like 1,000 units a month and they all got like 1,000 reviews, you're going to have trouble even getting visible in the first place there. And then even though your design might be unique, they might not even understand the full design unless they see all your pictures. And they're not going to see all your pictures if they're not going to click on your listing. And the reason why they wouldn't click on your listing is people like me. If I see a whole bunch of listings that have a 500 or 1,000 reviews, I'm just not going to click on something that only has 1 or 2 reviews because I don't trust it. So keep that in mind, Bua. Let's see. What do you guys think about people looking for brands with weak marketing, listings, pictures, ad campaigns, and just going after the market shares based on mostly a better marketing strategy? Go ahead, Tim.
Remember when we all started this, we said that there's a lot of ways to do this, a lot of ways to skin a possum, so to speak. There are ways to sell that. We've got some friends in the industry that do some training based on that process, and it works. A lot of times it works. All right, I'm not saying it doesn't. Specifically for me, I don't necessarily like that. I would rather be interested in the search volume with low competition, not somebody's not doing it well and I can do it better.
Okay, Josh, again, this is a question about not our test PPC campaign like we did in episode 4, but more about the regular PPC. So we'll get into that in a way later episode. So that's going to be in about 3 weeks. I think by then we should probably get to that. Here's a very appropriate question to episode 4. Bua says, when you buy products from Etsy, are they branded or trademarked? If not, are you putting your own brand registry on the company name when listing on AMZ? All right, well, what's happening nowadays is, first of all, you can't even put a brand just like right off the bat. You have to, like, if you don't have brand registry already, or you don't, it's not a proven brand that you've sold before, you have to put like NA or not applicable or something like that. And for the purposes of a test listing, that might be okay. Or you just do that and then you submit a case to Amazon and say, hey, here's the brand. You could use the brand, from Etsy. You could use just your own made up brand. You could do all these things. But the main point is that the brand is like almost meaningless in this case. You don't, we're looking for data. We're not trying to build a brand, or we don't care if it's somebody else's brand, as long as we're showing it correctly. We're looking for the keyword data and the clicks. Why isn't this live on Fire TV? I don't know. What is Fire? Is that the Amazon? I think it's the Amazon thing, right? If
Yeah.
Fire TV has YouTube, it should be live there. When will you guys cover URLs or going to Amazon from Instagram? I'm assuming you're talking about like launch kind of strategies. Absolutely late. Maybe episode 10. We're going to get into launch strategies. And Reiko says, I'm the same Reiko. Reiko, sashiburi, genki desu ka? Where can you source from Latin America? I know Tim has a lot to say on this, but we're going to get into that a little bit later because Tim is going to talk about that in a future episode. Patty, how many people are searching for products that are made? Do you know what she's asking here, Tim?
Short in the fall. Not sure. Sorry, Patty. You might
Yeah,
have to rephrase that one for
maybe
us.
clarify, Patty, on that one. Here's one for you, Tim.
Curious how you test keywords that convert if you're not getting sales.
I think you can explain it. I think she's a little bit confused, but she's talking about the PPC test campaigns and how we're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about
we're not
we're not
trying to
trying to get
sell. We
sales.
don't
Yeah.
care if it sells. All we're getting are impressions, which is a really good estimate of search volume and cost per click. So as long as one person in that campaign, or it's better if two or three, so you get a better average, click on that thing and you get the cost. That's all we need. But we're intentionally not trying to get sales. One of the students in my coaching program, like 2 weeks ago, we were breaking down one of his failed tests, so to speak. And one reason he thought it failed is his click-through rate was low and his conversion rate was low. And I'm like, dude, we talked about this. We are trying not to sell it intentionally. So we're doing these tests to make sure you're looking at the relevant data, which is impressions and cost per click. We're not looking at click-through rate, and we're not looking at conversion rate.
Okay. Let's keep going. Alberto, what's up, guys? Alberto from Miami. Are you going to the Super Bowl? Alberto, invite us. Here we go. OS Group Limited says, hey, found an interesting product. The main existing listing is in the wrong category. I can't change too much on this product. Would it give an advantage to put the listing in a correct category? What do you think, Tim? I say not. I mean, what Matt, people usually don't search by category. I mean, if there's indexing issues, yeah, maybe you'll have an advantage because maybe they're not indexing for the right keywords, but people don't really search for category. They're searching for the keywords, not the category. So what matters is where you show up in a keyword search.
And when it comes to indexing, yeah, and when we're talking about indexing, we're checking indexing anyway, so that's good. The only problem that would occur is if your product is miscategorized as something you're not allowed to run a PPC campaign on, like a sex toy or something. Like you're not allowed to run PPC ads on that, so obviously it wouldn't work. So as long as you're in somewhat of one of the normal, not saying that category is not normal, now I'm just digging a hole, but one of the more common categories, it doesn't really matter. So if it goes between home and kitchen accessories, it doesn't matter. It's not going to affect anything.
All right. Bartos, this is about actual listing optimization. We're going to get that in a later episode. Remember, guys, what we talked about in episode, I believe it was 4, like this is not our listing optimization strategy. That was really bad strategy, but that was on purpose. All right.
Yeah.
I tried to mention that 5 times because I didn't want people thinking, oh, look how Bradley and Tim say to make a listing.
These
Oh my
guys are
goodness, that was bad.
morons.
Yeah. Let's see. Does selling a wooden egg holder compete in the same market as egg carton on Amazon when customers there now seem to be buying in bulk? I need to take this question. This is great. All right. This is great because this is so important. All right. You can have multiple kinds of products on the same keyword and they're not competitors of each other. All right. This is something that like I kind of the way I learned how to say it is from Brock Johnson. Brock Johnson says when you're buying something, a product, or when you think you need a product, you have an image in your mind, right? And basically now you take that image in your mind and you translate that into a search term into Amazon, to thinking of what you can do to find that image in your mind. And now what you're doing is on Amazon, you're looking for the product that matches that original image. Now, here's the thing. People search different keywords in different ways. I've said that, I've given this example a million times. You search accordion. There's 2 kinds of accordions. There's kids accordions that are $30. There's $500 professional accordions, and they're on the same page. They're not competitors. So some people, when they search egg cartons or egg holder, might be thinking of the cardboard or whatever material that is thing. Other people might be thinking of a porcelain one, but the keyword that they just happen to use is that keyword. Other people might be thinking of a wooden one or whatever. So that's a very good question. They're in the same market, but they're not competing for the same customers. All right. So if that, I hope that makes sense, Anthony. And I'm sorry for taking longer than 20 seconds, but that's one of my.
I know I was about to pull the timer button on you.
Yeah. JCCS says, Tim, grab me a t-shirt and get Bradley to mail it to me. Hey, guys, stay till the end. In about 25 minutes, we're going to do a little giveaway for a couple t-shirts. All right. So make sure to stay.
I love that people thinks I have enough clout to get t-shirts.
He's got clout. All right. Now I'm semi caught up. So let's get to some of the questions here. All right. This is something from Who is this? Oh man, you guys are killing me with these names. DJ Joel. I'm gonna say Joel because I'm just assuming it's a silent D. All right, but it's D Joel. Um,
Oh, I thought you
hey
meant
Bradley, are you
DJ.
guys
Like,
deleting these YouTube videos? I hope not. I'm a wage slave, and it's looked upon to watch these type of videos. All right, yeah, no, I think what he's referring to is because I did this series around the New Year's time where I gave like 10 hacks, but I told everybody I was going to delete it later. Nope, these videos are going to stay. So you're good, Joel.
YouTube is stuck with us forever.
YouTube is stuck with us forever. This was up on episode 2 or episode 3 in the question box. Raul says, in episode 2, you searched up highly saturated keywords in Pinterest to find new keywords. How do you go about finding highly saturated keywords such as sugar skulls in the first place? Oh, that's a great question. Sometimes it's just stuff that you know is trending, and all you have to do is just get something initially, and then you go down a rabbit trail. I mean, we went down that rabbit trail, and then we ended up on something completely different. So, like, do you remember why you thought of sugar skulls? Like, was that something that maybe you found in one of your coaching calls or something? Or
I mean, it was just like it's just been trending. I've seen around. So, for instance, I'm in an Airbnb in London. If you guys just tuned in, and the only thing on the table is this, right? It's like a succulent plant holder. I know that succulent plant holders are absolutely saturated, but I could start searching like even more specific, like granite succulent plant holder, just something which probably is a terrible product, but by searching it and doing reverse ASIN searches on that product, Amazon will start showing me other somewhat related or indexed products that are random. So I don't have to know that, this product somewhat related to succulent plant holders is going to be good. I just got to start with something, succulent plant holder, and start running those rabbit trails of reverse ASIN, reverse ASIN, reverse ASIN, and you'll land on something crazy.
yep. Another question from Samina. This was from YouTube, episode 3. I was wondering why you guys didn't look up the keywords wooden egg holder or wooden egg tray. Some of those give results on Amazon. They've been there on Amazon, and per Helium 10, there was not many sales. We actually did, go through some of those, but we were focusing on. We know we're not going to get many sales if those are our main keywords. All right, because the demand wasn't there yet. What we were banking on is the main keywords such as egg holder, egg tray, egg storage, or whatever. Like, because of what we saw on Pinterest, that people searching those main keywords were looking for wooden ones. We want to capitalize on those and just get in the radar of customers searching those generic keywords, which were searched for 10 times as much. But would we include those long tail keywords that have to do with wood or wooden if we ever launch that product? Absolutely. Absolutely, we would. All right, let's go back to live real quick.
Yeah, so remember, it's possible that people don't know they need wooden egg trays or know that they want egg trays. So that's why we use Pinterest to give us that idea. So we're hoping that if we start ranking on egg trays, they'll see that and go, "Oh, I didn't know that existed." The reason search or sales volume on wooden egg trays sucked is because most people don't know to search for it.
All right. Let's see. Again, if I'm skipping some, that's because it doesn't have to do with episodes 3 and 4. This is about the PPC test listing. Like, with a new product, isn't the PPC completely different than a more well-ranked one? How will this test work?
No, it shouldn't matter. The only exception to this is if you open your listing and you let your honeymoon period run out and it tanks to just smithereens, then Amazon might not even let you run a test listing at all because they see that the listing is trash. There's no click through rate, there's no conversion rate. But generally speaking, when you first launch a product, as long as you're willing to spend more than the established listings, you can get it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and just remember, even if that's ever the case in the future, where there's like, and I haven't seen proof of that. It still doesn't matter. I mean, you got to start from scratch anyways when you're launching a product. You want to know, how is my launch going to be with using PPC? What's it going to be like? This is what's
Sure.
going to show you.
Yep.
Bua just has a comment here. I send in 12 items when I test wholesale bundles. And what Tim said about West Side, East Coast, West Coast buy box is so true. Sometimes win a buy box while selling $7 higher than the other sellers. So there we go. We got confirmation from Bua, so it must be true.
I love when somebody says, Tim's right. Because most of my
Mm-hmm.
life, people are going, Tim is wrong. So thank you, Bua.
All right, Michaela, there's a question about verification. That's not what we're on right now. Let's see. Let's keep going. Hey, found. Here we go. OS Group Limited. Hey, found an interesting product. The main existing listing is in the wrong category. I can't change too much on this product. Would it give? We already did that one actually, I
Yeah.
believe.
Well, we hit the topic already.
Most of it, yeah, most of it there.
Category doesn't really matter.
Christina, how valuable is the star rating in X-ray? It's valuable if you are looking to just get for what its purpose is. Its purpose is to show you some different relationship between different metrics on that page without having to calculate it. So if that's what your purpose is in looking at it, which is what it's intended, it's very valuable. If you're looking at that as some kind of go, no go, or good, bad, no, it's useless
Yeah.
because that's not what it's designed for. And don't let
Yep.
any tool company tell you that, oh yeah, this score means something is good or bad just because of our little algorithm or something. You know, I work for Helium 10. Obviously, I'm telling you right now, we'll never teach anything like that. So make sure that you're using it as it's determined. And yes, that is very relevant to episode 4 and 3 because it's X-ray is something that's very important in the process of validating if there's opportunity or not. But I like going a little bit deeper than just looking at the broad overview. I want to see, hey, how many people have this number of reviews? How many people have low ratings? How many people have low images? I like looking at the individual things. Let's see here. Hey, Tim and Bradley, I just launched my product almost 2 weeks now using PPC campaign. My product ranked in the first page, but not selling a lot. So Nina, did you do a test campaign beforehand? You might have, you might have gotten some insights on there. So you can't, you know, we'll get into some later episodes about the actual launch. It sounds like maybe I thought originally you were talking about the test PPC, but I don't think you are. So we'll talk about the regular launch in a few episodes and the kind of things you can do in the beginning that can help you get some organic sales. Okay, so this could be about the test listings. If there's a trademark keyword that has pretty good search volume, will I be able to do PPC for it? All right. Probably not. All right. You can't, because in order to run an exact match campaign or to target a specific keyword, you have to be indexed for it. And if you just start a new listing, you're not going to be indexed for a brand name because you're not putting the brand name in your listing. You're not supposed to. Don't do it, guys. Don't put brand names specifically against terms of service. Don't put competitor brand names in the back end of your listing because that is against Amazon terms of service. That being said, later on in your test PPC listing or regular PPC, you could be doing an auto or broad campaign, and maybe Amazon decides to show you for that brand. Yeah, they could decide to show you, and if you convert, yeah, maybe you'll be indexed. All right, but in that test campaign, I would never ever. That would never be one of the top 10, 15 words I'm going to test in a test campaign being a brand name, because that's not going to be one of my main keywords when I'm actually selling. Here we go, Scott, or here we go, Tim. This is Scott's question. Are there any assumptions that you can make for your PPC costs based on the search volume? Not always.
No.
Sometimes,
And
but it's not
and remember, when
consistent.
we're testing this, the PPC cost doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be super competitive. It's going to be super non-competitive. What we're looking for is kind of the differences between multiple keywords. So if I'm testing 5, 6, 7 keywords and 4 or 5 of them are 90 cents and 2 of them are like $3, we know that those $3 keywords are crazy expensive. There are some categories that you sell under that are just going to be ridiculous. I know people in like health and supplements, and especially in Q4, their cost per click is $6 a click. But that's average. They still make money because of the organic sales they get off of it. So it's okay. So don't let there be like one price point that determines this is good or this is bad. We're just basically looking at all this to get enough indicators of which ones are more competitive, which ones are less. Now, we didn't go over the results of the coffin shelf, did we? Or is that the next episode?
No.
I can't even remember.
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
we have yet.
When we go through the results of the coffin shelf test later, because we haven't even run that test yet, or we hadn't when it's dropped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some of those results on the cost per click is going to absolutely blow your mind. So, Scott, we're going to be able to give you a lot more information on a further episode.
All right, real quick, let me just switch over to the YouTube questions from episode 4. There was a really good one here from Divya. Hey guys, a very basic question on this. How do I send these test products to Amazon before listing them, especially because I'm not in the US? So we're going to talk about, sending them in, but This is an interesting question. If you're not in the US, what steps do we need to take before that? Like pasting barcodes, numbers on the products, and how do we need to package each product separately? So
Next episode.
if they're not in the US, what would you suggest on doing? Maybe buying it in the US, getting somebody to help them, and then send it in is probably best,
Yeah,
right?
if you're not in the US, like I'm in London and I was talking about this to a workshop today. And basically, what we said is you have to have a buddy or you have to have a prep center. And there are a lot of prep centers that you could say, hey, I'm sending you 10 items from Etsy. Can you set it up for Amazon and send in my 10 units? And they'll do that for you. So you do really need to, such small quantity, you need to have that. Now, if you want to buy 10 units from your local shop in Italy, put it in a FedEx box and send it directly to Amazon FBA. So your samples are coming from Italy straight to Amazon FBA US. You can, but generally speaking, most people are forming relationships anyways with a third party prep service or a friend or family member that can box up a few things. So that's what I suggest.
Okay. All right. We talked in episode 4 about how we're only kind of doing top level, and if you want to go deeper, we've got that freedom ticket training. So I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, Jan. So it's actually no cost. Helium 10 is covering that cost. So if you're already a Helium 10 user, Jan, you've got full access to the full freedom ticket training. And if you're not a Helium 10 user, just check the description down below. Just go to helium10.com and you can sign up. Let's see. Inspired Motion says we're rock stars. Yeah. What's a good formula to estimate how much product to order? We'll definitely be getting into that in a later episode. and sometimes you'll find that you might not you no matter best laid plans, right? You might not get it exact, you know. Tim and guys, we're showing you all the good and the bad of what happened here. We're not shy. So uh, I'm gonna leave it there, but we'll let you know why I'm laughing right now. Let's see.
Yeah, no kidding.
Olga says, "You rock, you rule." Project X, best FBA training. Thank you, Mohammed. Ooh, good one. Can you take this one, Tim?
Yeah, once your test listing's been created, how long do you generally need before you have enough information? I like, well, first off, only run like 5 or 6 keywords at a time, maybe 7 or 8. I'm seeing people that are like trying to test a lot of keywords at the same time, and it just doesn't work because the keyword indexing in relation to the PPC campaigns, they don't line up. It's a mess. So 5 or 6, 7, 8, something like that, somewhere close. I like 2 weeks of data. I like to get through 2 weeks. I like to get through 2 weekends so I get a good average. Now, sometimes your listing will stop running ads. If you have something that Amazon deems isn't relevant, after a week, you might just stop getting impressions. Don't think that people have stopped searching for the product. Just assume that Amazon shut it off. So take your week and average that to 30 days. Also, I'll take my primary keywords I want to test and maybe drop them in for 2 weeks. And then I might cycle in other keywords and keep this thing running, right? So usually I'm going to make a go, no go decision based on the first 2 weeks. And I might decide, hey, I'm going to start sourcing this product, try to get it in, try to ship it. But I'll continue that test with alternate keywords that I'm swapping in and out to gain valuable information that I'm going to need for the actual launch and optimization phase.
All right. Let's go to the next question. Janice is asking a question about trademarks. We're going to talk about that in a later episode. Richard says, I'm assuming that he's talking about like, we did some keyword research, for sure in episode 2 and 3. So like, how would that be different in a foreign market? And the answer is it's not. You go through the same process. Now, here's what you don't do. Don't do the research in the USA and then just Google Translate and say, okay, that's what the answer is going to be for Spain or for Amazon Germany or something. Do the research in that country's marketplace. All right. And you could do that by finding websites like Pinterest and Etsy over there, like whatever is their equivalent over there, if they have one. And then the on Amazon research, that we showed you also, Helium 10, whatever works in Amazon USA is also working in Amazon Germany, Spain, France, Italy, UK. So you go through the same process. Do not just translate what's working in USA and thinking that's the same keywords it's going to be in the other countries. Let's see. Richard says Amazon Netherlands is opening, and therefore my question. Yes, so that's definitely something that we're looking into because I think that's going to be I think the biggest new Amazon launch in a while. Right off the bat, that's just my prediction.
Hey,
Wait,
where is
there we go.
Cassandra?
Yeah, I haven't seen her post in a while.
Where's all our Heating 10 comments on here?
Cassandra's asleep at the wheel.
Uh-oh.
Should we be listing and testing our own products along with y'all, or just watch you and learn? I'd wait personally. I want to get the full picture. Like I don't think you guys should be doing it along at the same process. And you could definitely start it because some of these things took us a few
Yeah.
weeks. Like we said in the episode, hey, it takes a couple weeks to get an order from Etsy, or it takes a couple weeks to get it to Amazon and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So some of this stuff we filmed over a few weeks. So yeah, maybe you can start now, but yeah, you don't expect to be able
Well,
to go from
and
0
remember this,
to hero. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of steps to this process. So maybe while we're going through the testing and validation phase, you're still working daily trying to figure out keyword research ideas and just building up that catalog and doing the initial valuation. So you've got enough work that you shouldn't be able to keep up with us anyways. There's no way. Just because there should be so much effort you're putting into the first steps. And we're actually going pretty fast, even only launching 2 episodes a week.
Excellent. Chris, just a real quick one, just asking about the future workshops. We might have a workshop in Germany this year, so I'm not sure. Oh, actually, Tim, you might go to that one if we do that Germany thing. We'll see.
I think that actually kind of got actually maybe move forward today. Oh,
Yeah,
there is a
we can do that.
workshop coming up. Bradley, can I talk about the workshop we're going
Oh
to be
yeah,
at for a
sure. Go
second in
ahead.
San Francisco?
Mhm.
Guys, go to sellergrowthsummit.com, sellergrowthsummit.com. It's going to be in San Francisco at the end of February. And Bradley and I are both speaking at it. So if you want to come hang out with us for a day, there's only like 25 tickets left all day. Free lunch, free catered dinner, networking event, sellergrowthsummit.com. If you want to come hang out with me and
Yep.
Bradley at the end of February in San Francisco.
And we're gonna have to do our AMA there together in San Fran, aren't we? Because it's gonna be Friday, isn't it?
That's going to be Friday. We're going to do our live. Hey, anybody that's watching this, if you want to come hang out in San Francisco at that event, Seller Growth Summit, maybe we could do like a live crowd behind us and let you ask questions live while we're doing the AMA. That would be cool.
There we go. All right, let's keep going here.
Sellergrowthsummit.com. Check it out.
Michael or Michal says, is it worth entering a niche where search volume is about 300, but the charts of sellers are climbing strongly? Well, I can guarantee you there's no niche necessarily where search volume is about 300. There may be a keyword that has search volume of 300, but there is no product on Amazon or no niche where 100% of the sales just come from one keyword. So remember, go back to episodes 2 and 3 to kind of see how we kind of reverse engineered some things on Amazon to see where they were getting their sales from. So you never want to focus just on one keyword. You might start with one keyword, but you're going to need to examine where some of the potential sales might be coming from other than that keyword. And then on each of those keywords, kind of measure the competitiveness factor. Right. Jungle Chaos, this is something we'll talk about a little bit later. Fola says, curious why Helium 10 UK is difficult to search for product. It's actually not, but you can't use the same criteria that you search in the US as opposed to UK. I mean, the US market is more than 10 times as large as the UK market. So like something like 3,000 search volume in US, that's like equivalent to like 400 or 500 in the UK. So if you were using like a minimum 2,000 search volume, it's really like you were saying minimum 20,000 search volume in the US. So you can't use the same criteria. You have to adjust it per the marketplace that you're looking into. All right, let's see here. Samuel's asking about ranking on specific keywords. We're going to talk about that later. And Leanne is asking about sales tax. That is later. Elena is asking how to do reverse ASIN searches. A little bit of that. We actually, Elena, you're showing me you're skipping ahead. If you would have watched episode 3,
Back it up, Elena.
You ratted yourself out there. All right, stop skipping. Go back. Elena, like we literally, or Tim defines what's the reverse ASIN, and we show you guys how to do that. You too, Christina. The tool is Cerebro.
Yeah, but hey, check this out. Look underneath her. Oh, Christina asked that question. Look at all of the people that are now talking to each other. Look at this. Scott the man. Scott jumping in and helping out a fellow warrior. Look at that. Thanks, Scott. That's amazing. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, I still want to have something where it would be cool if like somebody ends up getting married because they met on Project X or something like that. You know, when I was a Zumba, hey, you're laughing now. When I was a Zumba instructor, I invited my friend Hugo from Mexico to co-teach with me, and he met one of my students in the class, in the class that we did, and 5 years later, they're married with two or three children right here in California. So it could happen. I want Project X to be making the love connection. So Scott and
And you don't
Christina,
mean
no
me and you,
pressure.
right? Like
No
you mean
pressure, Scott and
aside from
Christina.
mine and yours love connection, right? An additional love connection.
All right. We're letting this get away from us here.
I
Let
know
me go
it's so
back
late.
here.
Well, it's late for me. It's early for you. It's like 10 p.m. here.
Where can I find a recording of this episode later? Right here. This exact link that you guys are on. Go ahead and bookmark it if you want. The link is not going to change. The recording will be right here. And we got more people helping. Let's see. JCCS, we talked about the stars, and I think you might have asked this after I already answered it, so just go back and rewind if you don't have that. Emerson is asking a question about images. That's not about this episode. Let's see. Here we go. Bua, will you move forward if the products that you found on Etsy and Pinterest are seasonal?
I mean, that's kind of hard to answer. It depends. If I'm testing them in a seasonal time, seasonally accurate time, of course that's going to help me, but I might have to wait till that next season, right? So, like in March, I can test Easter items, but it's going to be too late to actually launch them for the next year. So, generally speaking, the only seasonal items that I think we can actually test are really long seasons like winter and summer, right? But generally speaking, this method doesn't quite work for testing unless you're willing to test it now, wrap around, and wait till the following year.
All right. This is something that we showed actually in one of the episodes. I think it was in episode 3. If there's a keyword that doesn't have that many items or maybe any at all, like when we were looking at, I forgot what it was, maybe the coffin shelf or something like that, where we were looking and there was like big shelves and things that had nothing to do with a coffin. So Tim, that's a good or bad thing?
Say that again. I'm so confused.
So
That doesn't
basically you
match what it
found a
is.
keyword
Yes,
and the
yes,
items
it's
don't match.
generally a good
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, it's
Generally a good
generally
thing.
a good thing.
And why is that?
It's because there's no competition. It means people are looking for something that they're not being offered.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you for that. Dustin, Julie. Let's see. Here we go. Another one. Melissa is trying to understand the our PPC test. If the higher the cost per click is a better higher search keyword. No, that's not what we're talking about here. No. You want to elaborate at all, Tim?
The higher the cost per click is a better higher searched keyword. No, it's not necessarily searched more frequently. It's just mean that it's more competitive, so more people are willing to bid against you on that keyword. It has nothing to do with how much search volume there's. The PPC is competition. The impressions is search volume, or a very close estimation of search volume. They're two very different independent analytical indicators.
Steve, we're going to talk about this in episode 5 or 6, I believe. So stay tuned for that. I love it. Boo is having a conversation with Steve or with Scott and Steve right here. So look at this. This is great. Everybody's interacting. I love it. I love it. Let's see.
Scott already commented that his fiance would probably not be happy if he found his wife on the Project X live chat.
on the Love Connection live chat.
Somebody asked if that could be the next Helium 10 tool, the dating app.
Black box for
No, stop. Could you imagine? Like,
let's enter the height as one of the filter. It's got to be above 6'2", you know.
No, stop. But could you imagine Cassandra's job is moderating the groups? Because now we'd have to have a Helium 10 users group and a Helium 10 dating group.
Yeah,
you'd have to hire somebody else.
What the search volume is on that person. Is he or she seasonal or not?
Oh my gosh! Stop!
All right, let's keep going here, guys. Guys, we have a lot of fun, Tivita. We got to start out like our own just regular show, just like you don't even know.
On those
all right,
listings, it's probably not appropriate to have a like made in sticker, right? You can't say made in China or made it like
Yeah,
that's
no, no,
way
no, no,
too
that's
far,
not good. No,
Bradley.
no. Um, let's see.
Oh my gosh. All
Uh,
right. Hey, you realize we've been going for nearly an hour and
oh my
15
goodness,
minutes.
we're getting off
I
track.
know.
There's so many
So
questions here. We got
I know
hey
I've got a
Scott is
meeting and I've got another meeting in 20 minutes.
all right. We'll finish before then. I gotta get going too. I've been here since 9 a.m. yesterday. Uh, Scott says would be great to go to the summit, but it's a bit far from Toronto. Goes, hey, make it, make it,
it's
make it. You
it's
guys
just
can
a
come.
short flight.
Okay, we'll do one last question from the Facebook group here. Let's see. Okay, this is from Celeste. Celeste on episode looks like 3 asked, I'm interested in a product that is in a saturated niche, but there's no other product like it on Amazon. So we kind of were talking about that a little earlier. It sells very well off of Amazon and seems to be trending. Most keywords are too hard to compete, but there are some keywords that I could go after that are lower search volume, about 200 to 500 searches a month. Should I shy away from this or go for it? Well, first of all, Celeste, we probably needs a little bit more information than just that. You know, it's everything is different in Amazon. So you could have the same metrics, but 2 different cases, and the answer would be totally different. But just generally speaking, what are your thoughts on this last question, Tim, about what she said?
So I feel that generally speaking, you're on the right track. You're finding something that's blowing up off of Amazon. It's not blowing up on Amazon. You also said that there is some competition on Amazon for the keywords, but are they actually the same product? Because if they're not the same product, maybe it's not as competitive as you think. Because although the keyword has a lot of results, you have a unique variation, you have a unique product, a unique material that people are actually searching for. And I also don't get concerned if you're saying, hey, there's only 3 or 4 keywords, only have 5 or 600 searches. I'm not jumping up and down excited, but I'm going to watch this one because if you say it's trending higher on other places in Amazon, that search volume may start to spike. So that's why I would really test this thing. I would do a PPC test and see what my impressions and cost per click are. Because as you're doing that impressions counts over the next 2 or 3 weeks, you'll probably get a more accurate increase in search volume than just following like Helium 10 search volume every week because it takes a little bit longer for that algorithm to catch up. So for all intents and purposes, don't get discouraged by a lower search volume product. And I suspect that if I sat down and worked with you and dove deeper, we could find 5 or 6 more non-competitive keywords that we could stack another 500, 600 onto. So that's exactly what we start looking for. They're not all giant winners, but that's how the process starts.
All right. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us today. We have one more thing. Real quick, I saw some people asking about, hey, how do I know when you guys are going to go live? Make sure to hit the little bell button somewhere on your YouTube screen right now. That means that you'll get notified whenever we go live. Next week, we're launching episodes 5 and 6. We are going to go even deeper. We're going to take a look at the results of those PPC tests. And then we're also going to dive a little bit deeper into the metrics and start talking about how we can differentiate. How do you decide if one should do bundles or not? That was a couple of questions that were today
Yep.
that I said will be in future episodes. That's going to be in episode 6. So stay tuned for that. That's going to drop on Monday and Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Right now, I got a couple quick homeworks for you guys. The first thing is hit the thumbs up right now underneath this video. The thumbs up on the excuse me, on the YouTube video. Give us a thumbs up. And then right now, not in the chat, because I don't think that we're able to click on your profile here in the chat, but in the comments below. So I can't see it because I'm using some kind of software here, but in the comments below, so like switch out of the chat in the comments below, I want you guys to write which product you think is the winner, or in your opinion, will sell the most, is the best opportunity, whatever your definition of success is. Which one is the winner chicken dinner in your book for the top 3 products that we have chosen, which were the hatchet and the wooden egg tray and the coffin shelf? Put which one below. And Cassandra, our social media manager, is going to randomly pick 3 of you guys in order to send you a free Helium 10 shirt. You're not going to be able to get this brand new Helium 10 hoodie that just came out. All right. I'm prepared for the coronavirus right here, but this Helium 10 hoodie is special only for me. You can't get that. You can get the Helium 10 t-shirt, which is really cool. Worn by Tim Jordan when he was in our no. But you get 3 brand new t-shirts, guys. Cassandra's gonna randomly pick. So again, in the comments below, and if you're watching this within a few hours or a day or two, of this, go ahead and put it there because she's not going to pick until Monday. So as long as you're watching this before Monday, put in the comments below which product you think is going to be the winner, and Cassandra's going to possibly send you a t-shirt. So look out for that. Any last words of wisdom, Tim? Wisdom, Tim, before we sign off?
Dude, I am jet lagged and I am exhausted. But let me say this. Those of you that are watching this, keep watching. Do not stop. What we're showing you works. It's relevant. It's not the only way of doing things, but it's a great way of doing things. If you don't like our exact method, we will teach you something in here that does apply to what you're doing. I promise it's going to happen. Keep up, keep following. Don't get discouraged. The first like 5 or 6 private label products I tried to launch were absolute garbage. They sucked. Like they were complete dumpster fire, disaster failures. But they weren't actually failures. They were investment in me learning. We're actually saving you a bunch of time, energy, and effort because we're actually skipping you ahead. But don't expect everything that you do to be like an instant, easy success. But when that happens, when you stumble, when you fall, keep going, keep moving. It doesn't happen by itself. But all the other quitters out there are going to stop. You guys can't be the ones that stop. You got to keep moving forward. I promise this is real. I promise this is possible. I promise that what we're telling you right now actually works. This is no BS. Keep going, keep moving, stay part of the community. Y'all are awesome. Off
And
my soapbox.
very inspirational, Tim. Very
I know. It's because
inspirational.
I'm
All right.
tired.
And if all else fails, come here for the Helium-10 love connection, and you might meet your future soulmate here, as we see is happening in the comments here. So, anyways, guys, we will see you Monday on the live chat of our premiere of episode 5 of Project X, 11 a.m. Monday. See you guys there.